morning. Good morning, students, distinguished guests. I'm Debbie Krall, principal of ATEC. It is an honor to host this morning's discussion on digital learning and education technologies. While ATEC is a high-performing school and recognized for our academic success and achievements across the nation, we are continually assessing our instructional practices and searching for new and innovative ways to deliver instruction to ensure the success of every student in the 21st century world. Technology is an integral part of learning at ATEC. 6 out of the 8 program areas utilize cutting-edge technology to deliver instruction on a daily basis. We house over 1,100 computers, most of them in classrooms, to support learning at the highest level. This year, moving forward with technology, we implemented Bring Your Own Device. Students are able to enroll in online courses during the school day. Teachers have embraced the school-wide use of Edmodo to communicate with students, post video casts, homework assignments, and math teachers were trained to use the cutting-edge technology with the TI-inspired calculators, which totally changed math instruction in our classrooms. We also provide after-school assistance to second language learners through Google Hangouts, which reduces the barrier in transportation issues because you can do that at home, in your bedroom, or at the dinner table. We also are one of 3 schools selected across the nation to participate in the Global Nomad Grant. Students in our AP Geography, 9th grade course, and AP Environmental Science communicate and exchange a frequent dialogue with peers across the globe. And we had the honor of hosting a panel discussion in a webcast that was broadcast on an international level on the issue of water conservation, hosted by our students in the AP Environmental class. Our students are partners in learning, and they share educational links and resources with each other that are posted on our library website, The Best of the Best. Our challenge for the next year is to secure funding to improve our Wi-Fi infrastructure because we want to offer the opportunity for all students to bring full one-to-one devices. It is my distinct pleasure and privilege to introduce our Clark County Superintendent, Pat Sparkowski. Superintendent Sparkowski began his career as an elementary school teacher, and I never teach elementary school, so you get kudos for that. He served as a principal at Doris French Elementary School, Thurman White Middle School, and Open Del Webb Middle School. He was promoted to assistant superintendent, associate superintendent, district deputy superintendent, and then appointed our superintendent of CCSD. He has dedicated his entire career to the students of Clark County School District. Our district's shared successes are a direct result of his exemplary leadership. Please join me in welcoming our superintendent, Pat Sparkowski.
Students, thank you so much. I know that you hate to be out of your classes and hate to get away from the work in your classroom on a daily basis, but thank you for taking some time. Today my day is about technology. I started out this morning in a meeting with a vice president from Microsoft and talking about ways that we can bring new and innovative technology aspects to the Clark County School District. Looking at things such as Yammer, so that we have those of you familiar, I see some heads nodding, that's great. Looking at Bing for Schools, looking at all kinds of things, ways that we can get every teacher, not just the teachers here at Tech, but every teacher, infusing technology into their instruction to ensure that we are mastering the skills necessary for you to be successful. So my personal model is about every student in every classroom, without exceptions and without excuses. We in the Clark County School District believe that your success is something that is the utmost importance to the entire community. Every member of our community has to be responsible for the education of our children. Not just the parents, not just the employees of the Clark County School District, but every parent. So today, we're here to celebrate because Nevada has done some amazing things in the past year, basically. We have gone up from a D ranking when it comes to digital news and looking at how we infuse technology into our schools. And that's based upon some legislation that we proposed at the last legislative session, as well as the Bring Your Own Device piece that we put into our school district policies, and ways to have you be able to use things just like this whenever you need it in the classroom to be successful. And so today we have some great panelists here today. You're very fortunate because this is a name you will hear quite often in the future, I'm sure. Governor Jeb Bush is here with us. He's sitting right here. The former governor of Florida and current chairman of the Foundation for Excellence in Education. I met with that group last week, actually, and had some great conversations with them to be able to talk about some of the things that Florida is doing to bring them here to the Clark County School District. He also is a graduate of the University of Texas. So everybody here thinking about being a Longhorn? All right, there you go. There you go. All right, awesome. Next to him in the center is Anton Sorkin. I don't know how they call it coordinating the ties, but he did well. He recently received appointments to the United States Air Force Academy and the United States Military Academy at West Point. He also received the Rice Scholarship to NYU. And as far as I know, he hasn't really said where he's wanting to go yet and committed to anything yet, so he still doesn't know. But he wants to be a Longhorn now. What's exciting, though, is that this school gave him these opportunities, and to Principal Kroll and the teachers, first and foremost, the teachers who have made this opportunity for him and for every one of you sitting in this room. Thank you to them for making sure that not only Anton, but you have the best and brightest future ahead of you. Next, we have Nevada State Board member Mark Newbern. He's right here. He is a STEM proponent, meaning that he wants to see STEM in every school at the extensive level that you're fortunate enough to have it here. So science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and walking down the hallway, I see that ATAC is no stranger to the arts, so STEAM academies are something that we're moving forward. So we appreciate his support. Being on the State Board of Education is no easy job, but I will tell you he is a huge supporter of not only the Clark County School District, but the state of Nevada when it comes to K-12 education. We're glad that he's here. And he is a graduate of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and has been working in this community for a few years, almost 6 years, because it'll give away your age. Yeah, go right. On the end, we have State Senator Joyce Woodhouse. She is the Senate Education Committee Chair, and she was a graduate of Carroll College and the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. She has been an employee of the Clark County School District for many years. She, like I, taught first grade many years ago, and then worked her way up through the school district, and her last position within the Clark County School District was in our partnership office, a Community and Government Relations Partnership Office. She is a huge supporter of education K-12, not just for Clark County, but for the state as well. So we welcome Senator Woodhouse. Next to her, we have Senator Michael Levitt. Oh, I'm sorry. Give him a hard time because this is Senator Mike Roberson, and his wife is your very own Miss Liberty Levitt. So. He is a Senate Minority Leader and a graduate of the University of Kansas, so Jayhawks didn't have a good weekend last week. It was rough. I was pulling for him, but it was rough. And so he is a huge supporter of K-12 education and a huge supporter of looking at finance and funding to make sure that Clark County School District is getting its fair share. So we appreciate the work that he's doing on that. And again, I introduced his other half over here as well. Last but certainly not least is one of my very dear friends. She's going to be the moderator today. She's got a who's who list down here. She is currently serving as the chair for the Elaine Pt1 and Family Foundation. I had you all that in there. It is a lot. She has been on the Governor's Blue Ribbon Task Force for Education Reform, my own personal task force for Blue Ribbon Task Force on Empowerment, the Nevada Partnership for Inclusive Education, Nevada PI. She has been involved with the Nevada Common Core Steering Committee, and she is a graduate of the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. She's
bio. So he went to school as a regular public ed student for 12 years, like all of us. He's got an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, and a master's, so add another few. So he had a first day of school for 16 plus years. And then every August since 1988, he's been showing up for the first day of school here at Clark County. So I just want to honor you and thank you on behalf of all of us and countless others that you'll never meet that are better off for your efforts. So thank you. I am getting excited just being in the energy of all of you. How many of you are ninth graders? I just wanted to see if any of them snuck in, because I've got one. They're a sporty little devil. 10th graders. 11th graders. Seniors. Congratulations. I know you're doing the number of days. How many days left? Like 37. Yeah. 37 hours, 15 minutes, 10 seconds. I remember. It was a long time ago, I remember. We got a panel, and we're going to have 35, 40 minutes. There will be an opportunity for you to ask your questions. So store them up, because this is not an opportunity that's available to any of us most days of our lives. And here we are, 315 million Americans, and there's a couple of hundred of us in this room with the opportunity to pose our questions to Jeff Bush. So grab hold of that and don't let that opportunity pass. Just to do a little bit of limbering up, if you go to the gym, you do some light stretches. So before we go to the heavy-duty weights, let me ask some warm-up questions. Ready? First, iPhone or BlackBerry? What do you got?
iPhone has got it turned.
Oh, iPhone has got it intended. We have a throwdown. How about you guys?
I have a BlackBerry in my official portrait when they kicked me out the door as governor, but I have an iPhone now. I lost. It was a sad day when I got rid of my BlackBerry. They never kept up. It is a problem for the world. You don't constantly improve either as a person or an entity. You don't survive. So I will keep rolling. It's a sad day.
I actually thought that this would be like rapid fire. I was just sort of walking through an emotional issue. Thank you for loving us enough to be that authentic and honest. And how about you?
Well, I have an iPhone now, but it's getting to that age where I might need to put it out of its misery pretty soon. So, maybe iPhone, maybe Android. Just throwing it out there.
What are you curious?
iPhone.
iPhone.
My newest one is an iPhone, and I've had it about 6 months. So we're doing great. I'm still learning.
So when was the last time that you tweeted something?
I do not tweet.
That sounds like a
I am not going to
declaration.
Yesterday.
Yes.
Like an hour and 2 minutes ago.
But he's counting 43 days, 7 hours. Governor, how about you?
This morning.
This morning?
Yesterday on women in STEM education.
Lovely. And nice that you got the topic in, too. Good job. What is your favorite online game? Angry Birds, Farmville, what's your wasting your time playing right now? Senator Roberson, what do you?
You know, I don't play online games, but I live on Twitter, as my wife will tell you. I get all my news, politics, sports, world events, where's the missing plane, you name it, on Twitter.
I play solitaire if I'm tired.
And I play solitaire too because you can cheat. It's quite fun.
Teach me how to do that.
I used to play RuneScape.
You got a hoop for Counter-Strike.
Get ready for the military camp.
World of Warcraft for a long time. That was giving me nightmares. I went back to EverQuest 1.
Mark Newberg was at UNLV, one of the first ever computer science students. That was 30 years ago. So he started when he was 4. That's how we asked you to describe it. Next question. What was your favorite subject in high school? What did you love most? What subject in high school? Hang on.
Well, English was my second language. smack in the face. But like overcoming that, so definitely.
That's lovely, and also it's really good compliment for teachers wanting the way that you have. The Slack tutors will make you love it. As a parent, I want to talk to those teachers.
I like math, and I like my computer programming class.
That's a nerd. He thinks he might have been a nerd. And look how well it turned out. Governor, what about you?
So I had kind of a flip to your class. I took a Spanish course in high school that was harder than I thought, much harder than I thought I could accomplish. I was reading the great works of Unamuno, Borges, Cervantes. I had no clue. It was so hard. I had a headache when I mastered it, and it was not so much the course, it was the mastery of something I didn't think I could do. It was really pretty cool. And now, I'm bicultural, bilingual, and it's been pretty helpful in my life.
He also married well.
Casi, soy casado con una mexicana.
My favorite topics were U.S. and world history, government. Nothing's changed.
Mine was math, and I took 4 years of high school math, and then when I went to college, my number one was American diplomatic history.
That impressed you. It wasn't like Minecraft or that film game that he was referring to. I got a bigger response, but you were impressed by that. Okay, is Governor and warmed up? Okay. Governor Bush, I'm going to start with you. As governor of 2 terms, governor of Florida, moved a state with massively large school districts from low end of student achievement in the country to bellwether high end of student achievement in the country, thanks to this governor's policies, forward thinking. Since leaving office, I know in 2011, you launched the Digital Learning Now initiative, so that you could bring that horsepower and creative thinking and innovation to every other state in the union. So I want to begin by having you tell us what the Digital Learning Report Card is, tell us how Nevada did, and tell us what you think that means.
So the catalyst of this thinking on my part was I read a book by Clay Christensen called Disrupting Class, which talked about his theories of innovation applied to schools and how digital learning could be a means by which you could achieve far better greater learning for students. And then I went to Stockholm, Sweden, and went to visit, I can't pronounce in Swedish, my total was like 15 consonants, but it's called a knowledge school. These were schools that, in Sweden, they had a totally open system, so you have a private school or a public school, it's all paid for by the government. And this school was a private school, but really public in every way, and it was kind of like walking around this school, but without all the fancy equipment, but they didn't have as much of the incredible technology you have, but it was totally customized. And it was so inspiring to see these kids. 50% of the kids were immigrants from Somalia, places like Algeria, Somalia, Iraq. There was this kid from Somalia that was like 6'2", this is 8th grade class, had an afro like the 60s ABA basketball teams. You're too young to know this, but afros used to be out like this, and he had a Che Guevara t-shirt on, and he asked me, should I take as my third language Mandarin or Spanish? And I tried to make a pathetic case that Spanish was better than Mandarin, but this is a 9th grader in a totally customized learning environment, newly arrived to Sweden from Somalia, that was being challenged in ways that he couldn't imagine. And it was awe-inspiring, and what it basically was a customized, student-centered, performance-based system, so that if you master the material, like many of your classes are, you move to the next, and if you master that, you move as fast as you can, but you don't finish the material, you have to master it. So these huge learning gaps we have, just because time is the constant and learning is the variable, can be shifted because of digital learning. Think of it, I mean, that's really the point. Time should be the variable and learning should be the constant. And that's what digital learning can do. So we created a set of criteria to measure how states are doing, because a lot of these things you can't do unless you change laws. Because Clark County School District decided they wanted a more open system, they went to the legislature, they passed meaningful legislation, and we grade schools based on a whole criteria of things about student access, about the caliber of the technology, the broadband issue, which was brought up, which is a huge issue for schools, all of these things we try to create a grading system, if you will, so everybody understands when states are improving. And Nevada went from D to B. It was the greatest gain of any of the 50 states. And it was because policy changed, which will allow students now to move to a much more customized environment.
So let's hear it for a D to a B. So the governor makes reference to the innovative and courageous changes in the law that allow the states to move from a D to a B. It is the property that belongs to the lawmakers who make those laws. And so I look at the lawmakers right here and ask either or both of you what, describe what you did and what is yet still to be done.
Okay, well, Senate Bill 58 was the one that really opened the door for us after the 2015 legislative session. It came to, I was chairing the Education Committee on the Senate side. It came to us from the Interim Study Committee on Education, and Joyce Haldeman is sitting over there, and she was one of the lobbyists who really kept our nose to the grindstone to get this bill passed. There was some concern with it originally, but they managed to take care of all of our concerns. And I think the thing that it opened up for all of us was the opportunity to make this more available to students across the state. The bill took away the limitations that were in the bill, or that were in the law, so that we can make these kinds of programs affordable and available. I think the thing that swayed me the most was, I'm here in Clark County. I was a teacher for 40 years, or an educator for 40 years, and I saw the change from 1985, from when, as a teacher, I had professional development on an Apple IIe. And now what do we have? It's awesome. But the thing that I really zeroed in on when we heard the testimony and the questions were answered was this gave an opportunity, particularly for those students who live in like White Pine County. They are so small, Esmeralda is even smaller, and you have a high school student who wants to take a calculus class. There's no way that school district can provide a teacher to do that. But that student can take an online course in calculus, for example, through the Clark County School District or Washoe. And so it just opens the door up for so many students and for our school districts, and I think definitely helps us get from that D to a B. Senator Roberson?
I can't add much to that, Senator. That was great. But it's really about equalizing the learning opportunity for all Nevada students. And as Joyce said, in Pershing County and some of the other really small counties, this allows them the ability to have access to programs that, because of geography, they just don't have access today. And so now what we need to do is go from a B to an A next session.
Is that a pledge or a promise?
That's an earnest goal, and it'll be a bipartisan goal, and we're going to make it happen.
Beautiful. And he's too very well, so we know we're going to make that commitment, right? Beautiful. Mark, I want to ask you, so 30 years ago, one of the first computer science students, look at where we are in terms of making available a different kind of education for all. And actually embodying what the governor talked about, that is, I use it way in time, when time is the variable and the learning is the concept. Where do you think we still have to go to realize the access to opportunities to extend that we've always been attained?
Okay, I'll take everybody back. I have an iPhone 5S, whatever the latest model is. And when I grew up, I had a rotary phone that was on the wall in my kitchen next to the refrigerator. But I knew the iPhone was coming, the sci-fi standard. Then I had a touch-tone phone with a
You didn't have sci-fi back then because you didn't have cable.
But it's still working with lifetime electricity, I think.
I had 3 channels. But then I had a touch-tone phone with a 30-foot cord, and it was my first mobile phone because I could take it to any room in my house. And then I had a wireless phone that was the size of a brick. And it was hooked to a battery pack that was 2 bricks. But I always knew the iPhone was coming, because the visionaries told us that was coming, okay? Where we are now, I think the difficulty is that people don't yet understand what you do when you go home, okay? You're going home, you're logging into virtual environments, you're chatting with guildies who live across the country, you're listening to spatialized 3D audio. The technology is so far ahead of where the schools are, okay? Right now, we've done a good job in expanding access. You can now, kids can now take courses and not be in school. Okay, so we've done that. We've done a good job. Kids who would probably drop out now can now finish school. But compared to where we're really going to go with digital learning, okay, we're really adding the 30-foot forward right now. Okay, we have so far to go. The kids in the room understand that when I used to grow a plant in my science class, they could probably, if education was caught up, they could probably grow a whole rainforest in a 3D model and take their class through a virtual tour of it. Okay? The promise of digital learning is not just that the access is expanded, it's that we're going to make it better. The goal of this class actually should not be to make it better, it should be to make things obsolete, just like the iPhone made my rotary phone obsolete. Sci-fi tells us that the future of education is going to be so engaging and so exciting through the use of computers, okay? We have that to look forward to. You can look forward to that future like I look forward to the iPhone, okay? This is where we can really go. It's just, it takes time, you know? You got the phone with the 30-foot cord, okay, it's better than what you have, but we have so far to go. We should be thinking of how the release of your 9th grade material will be greeted with the anticipation of the release of the next Grand Theft Auto. Your parents should be yelling at you to get off the computer with your friends and stop doing your Algebra 2 missions and go to bed, okay? This is where your class is going to have to take us, because you know what I'm talking about, and most of the teachers don't. Okay? So that would be my vision.
Right? I want to be that parent yelling that directive. So Anton, I'm going to come to you, and let me reflect for all of you what you will already know, but share this with all of you in case you're not aware. ATAC was ranked the top high school in Canada and ranked 304th nationally. And I don't know how long the list that 304 workplace is, but it's a long list, so 304 is really good. And what is astonishing when you're talking about this place is that you had 62, almost 2/3 of you participated in advanced medical training. 2/3, and 82% of you passed those APs. So we talk on, in terms of the floor, around the things that must be done, access to everybody, application of technology differently, that's the floor. And then at the ceiling, we've got this. So I would say to you, I didn't know this, but one of the criteria to get in is you got to be astonished when you look in that dress. So I look at you. So Anton, let me ask you, what role has technology played in education? What role has this particular gold medal in the institution played in your education?
Well, let's let me do a few things. I'm a law major, so so you wouldn't expect me to take that many computer classes, but you have an introductory computer class in your freshman year, and I like that. So I actually took computer science my second year. Figured out I definitely don't want to be a computer engineer, but it was really cool to figure out, hey, these are the issues people are like going through when they make games, browsers. And I realized, hey, this is complicated, it's a whole other world. But I mean, even in my law class, we don't just go and look up different codes in the bookshelves anymore. You can actually go online, you can pull up LexisNexis, you can go listen to Supreme Court actual arguments, which are hundreds of hours long sometimes. but you can actually figure out, what do I want out of this and how would I use this as a career? So it's kind of let me explore a little bit of everything and how I might use it one day, and it definitely makes my life easier at home. Research, I can just go, through the library, I can log into an online database, and I don't have to worry about having to go to the library and hundreds of hours, well, probably a few hours of research. Let's be real now, but it prepares me a lot for what I have to do outside. I took an internship with the Nevada Public Defender's Office, and I was already familiar with the software there. That saved me 2 days of training. So it's surprising what they're teaching in schools now, because you go to an employer and you say, hey, I can do this already. And they're just like, okay, you're the first person. We don't have to waste time that we can use it for everything.
Great. I want to hire you, but you're going to be busy. I hope you come back in time, because part of what we suffer as a community is the brain drain, right? So we use you, and we're excited. Time to go to West Point, and you want to leave the porch light on, and I want to see you walk back into the porch. Governor, let me ask you, you've got 3 amazingly cute grandchildren.
Thank you.
Yeah? I just ran out of a to get that. What do you want high school to be like for them? I mean, what kind of a setting and experience do you want for them?
I think by the time my 3 grandkids are in high school, it may not be called high school for starters. It may be a continuous learning environment. The way I see this, the optimum means that I don't know what the technology will look like. My sci-fi, I just started watching it, so but I do know it'll be radically different. I don't think we have to pick winners and losers. We just have to create the most open, optimum environment where we harness technology for every child to achieve earn success. And so my guess is that look at technology. We have some sound issues here. My guess is what I would want to see, first of all, my grandchildren, your youngest brothers and sisters, and you yourself are going to live, the life expectancy for your age group is going to be over 100 easily. If you're born today, it's likely to be 120, 130, 140. The world we're living in.
K-12 education it's going to be a misnomer.
I like it better when I just K-12 education will be a misnomer in my mind. I think what's going to happen is it's going to be an environment of continuous learning. And it'll be customized because if you just look at yourselves, this is an incredibly diverse country with diverse people. They start at different places in school. Some learn cognitively, some learn in different ways, some learn through video games, some learn in groups, and the power of technology will be to develop software to basically guide teachers in this learning environment where you may have the same peers in your classroom as you go through this experience, but you may be doing 4 grade levels ahead of a friend of yours who may have learning disabilities or may have a tough time reading, but everybody will have a chance to reach their God-given abilities. That's what technology will it's not a question of when, a question of if, it's a question of when. And the when, I think, will happen in states that are creating the most open systems that will ruffle a few feathers. This is not a simple thing. Just say, we're just going to have technology be applied in the classroom. Well, the collective bargaining agreement kind of gets a little, people in the collective bargaining process get a little nervous if the content's provided some other place. If software development supersedes how you organize your classroom, people get nervous. The funding sources, maybe you should be taking college course level work. Who's going to pay for that? You have a lot of different political issues, and the states that figure out how to open up their system will create the greatest surge in learning, and this will be a renaissance in learning. My grandkids are going to be taking college level courses when they're 14, 15, and 16, just as all kids could do if we organized from the beginning. And we're moving in that direction. It's taking too long. It's taking way too long.